So, today I have been working on perfecting flying machines on PlayStation 4. I started this by recently looking up videos on how to make flying machines on Minecraft in general the other day, and after building the most simple one that I could find just quickly on YouTube, uh, I realized they don't really work on PlayStation 4. If they work on regular PC, then they definitely don't work as well on PlayStation 4. And I first realized this when I built the most simple machine I saw, which I'll build here in a second, and started flying it, and I don't know, at least multiple times every 50 blocks or so of flying, it would just glitch me through the main platform and I would fall through. Where on creative I live, but I'm building these for our main world Khaan, which is all survival, and you would most definitely die if you fell on a high sky train or something like that by getting glitched through the floor. And so I started by doing tests of different builds to see how I could optimize that and not fall through the floor. And I came up with a few designs so far over the past few days that have really come a lot further than the original design that I got off of YouTube. So this video and for the next however long, I'm going to build and show you a few different designs as well as kind of work on a few new concepts for different trains. Yeah, so I guess let's just get started. So I've built this platform on my main creative world, and you can see there's kind of some debris from testing and some lava in the distance that was from a weaponized version of one of these flying machines. Essentially, it just flies along and you place lava and it falls right off as you fly. Alright, so I guess we'll start by showing the main design that I first saw on YouTube, which was quite terrible. So, the way they did this, I kind of remember it off by heart now from building so many of these. This is exactly how they did it as well. I mean, not the order of placing the blocks, but the build will look exactly the same in the end. So what they did was sticky piston, an observer. So as soon as you place that observer, it triggers itself once because it's seeing the world for the first time being populated, I guess is what you could call it. It just gets triggered from being placed. And what that does, did this? Okay, I don't really know what happened. Anyway, it triggered it. So once I do the second triggering, which is placing a block over that and destroying it, or maybe even just placing it, yeah, it'll then activate the machine. And how it works is it fires the sticky piston once, so it shoots it out once and retracts it, and it grabs this whole contraption, since it's all connected to slime blocks, which pulls this whole back engine part up to where this is, and upon doing that, it activates this observer, because the observer is being shifted one block, and so it observes the new block. And so when it does that, it activates this piston, and then this piston pushes this whole contraption forward once. And since it's not sticky, when it retracts, it just pushes it forward and then remains where it itself is. And then it repeats the process because when this one pushes this forward, it then activates this observer, which observes a new block upon being pushed forward. So then it's just like a perpetual cycle that really can only be stopped if you cover the block or overload the machine with too much weight or too many blocks. At least that's the only way I've learned how to do it so far. I'd really like to be able to learn how to make a design where I can just have a switch on the machine and flick that back and forth to have it started, but I'm not fully sure. Well, at least I don't know how to do that yet. I'm sure you can do it, but I don't really know how. And as I said, PS4 is most definitely limited in its capabilities and has a little slight variation in the way that things work compared to compared to compared to PC, not PS4. Well, compare those two. And so that's kind of what started me to get so interested in building these flying machines, is when I realized that they don't work the same as PC. Because I'm sure I could go to some other channel like SciCraft, which actually I didn't get this, and I could learn how to make crazy other flying machines. Maybe I'll actually go do that in a bit, but these are just basic ones that I would like to transport efficiently. I mean, the goal is to get it to be 100% efficient, where you can just AFK your player and sit in the thing and go from one side of the map to the other, which on a large map on PS4 is slightly over 5,000 blocks. So far, I think the longest successful trip I've had was 4,100 blocks. So I almost did the whole map if my calculations were right. But that was also with moving around in the cockpit at the time. And so the goal is to get it so... I mean, I think it works differently when you're moving around compared to just being still. Because if you're still, you get pushed up against the back wall and then things repeat. And essentially the troubles come when the world gets a little overloaded from this process, and then there's a little glitch and lag, and then you fall out of it. So, anyway, continuing on, this is how they built this, and it's pretty much done. Well, it is done. It would work right now, but just to show you the design they had, they essentially went... Actually, I'm pretty sure their design was dumb enough that they literally just put 5 blocks. So I don't mean to say dumb, but for it being one of the top recommended videos on making a flying machine, it didn't make any sense because you bounce off these. So I'm pretty sure this is all they did. And then they just activated it by doing this. Oh, I broke the wrong block. When I place this, it might activate the whole machine. Yeah, okay. So this was the person's design, and it's hilarious that they did it this way. So essentially, yeah, it did it instantly. So this was the problem. Their design, you bounced off the slime block, and very quickly you would just glitch through the main platform, no matter what material it was. Like, this is iron block. See, and it just happened again, and I glitched right through the floor. So I was kind of like, oh, this does not work at all. How am I going to do this? And so, even if you place one right here to cushion the... Oh, we've got to take one away from there. I also don't really understand, but the block limit is limited at a certain amount, and this design, for some reason, takes up so many. I think it's... I don't know why, but I have other designs that you can push a way more block load than this with less slime. Anyway, so... Is that working? Yeah, okay, so now you just place a block, activate it. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to bounce off the slime, this will work. I'm not going to glitch through. But even this process, I'm pretty sure... I may not do it right away, but the problem is when you get into the testing of 200 blocks, 300 blocks, something like that. See, even right there, that's not me moving, and that's just me kind of, yeah, see, and then it just glitches me right through the floor. So it almost pushed me off the edge without me doing anything, and then it glitches me through the floor. So I'm not going to move again. See, it just pushes me off to the side. And what that is doing, pretty sure, I mean it's PS4 so I can't really look at the details, but what's happening is it's registering that that slime block is being pushed up to where I am, and so it's still kind of bouncing me a little bit. And then all it's doing is it's not registering this surface of this block for a split second, allowing you to fall through, and then the bottom side of the block doesn't register you falling through it. So you just fall through both surfaces of the block. So it just pushes me off to the side again and pushed me completely off. So this one was not only this one was only not able to be AFK'd, but you also can barely even ride it, and you still glitch through the floor. So I quickly realized this machine that I found on YouTube, although this was the one that pretty much the exact same design that I saw on channels like FitMC, and then the top video that I saw, which was just some, I don't know which YouTuber it was, but some other one. This was pretty much the one they used. I'm pretty sure I remember FitMC's being like this. He might have had a minecart or something. But I remember it just being very simple, with nothing to sit in or no storage or anything like that. So that one didn't work. So I quickly started modifying it and going again and again and again, which led me to my second main design. I had a lot of like in-between tests of like little ones to get to this point, but this was the first one where I was like, okay, this might actually have some optimization and work for long distances. So I took the same layout of the person's base engine, same orientation and everything. Place an observer, and then this will trigger it. I'll take out the bottom. I guess I'll show you two little different variations of it. Or I'll go through a few of the first ones. So the first one I kind of came up with was like, just how can I make blocks that'll make me not glitch through it? And honestly, none of them really worked very well. I used fence posts and half slabs and things like that, but it still would glitch me through it. And being even close to one of these things usually kind of glitches you out or messes you up. So my design that I came up with, which was like one of my first optimized ones, essentially turned out like this. And there are two different variations, so I'll do the first one. I don't know, but for whatever reason, cobble seemed to not glitch me through the most out of any building block. So I did this. I even did this. And then I went. So these are compost bins. And so the concept behind this is, not only are you sitting in the bin, which allows you to not move anywhere or get glitched right off it or whatever, but there's also a bottom layer of this bin that registers. So that's one layer, and then you have the second layer, which is the top of the cobblestone. And so that kind of gives you two layers of glitching. And then for sideways movement, you have, I think the way this works is you have I guess, I'm not quite sure, but multiple layers here. So essentially you would have the one layer of the inside of the bin. So let's see if I can sit in here. So when I run up against the wall, you have this inside layer right here. And then there's the second layer, which is in between the two bins. Now I'm not sure if they both register, but there's at least one wall that registers there. So that's two right there, and then another two after that bin. And so I realized on long distances it would sometimes glitch you back into the second bin and then back further. And then once you're in this bin, you almost would always glitch back, which would result in you falling through because there's a slight period in the engine where this is always open. And so you'd end up just glitching back, and fall through. And then this block was here just because I'm pretty sure that was the maximum amount of blocks I could push with this machine. And my idea was just to have as many layers to not glitch through as possible. And I could only really have it at the back, so that's my block. This version, I also would take I tested it with a chest because it would push a chest. I kind of started to remove it later on because I found it would glitch me out more often than not. That might have just been a random occurrence that it seemed like it was doing it more often, but chests are definitely glitchy anyway. For example, if I'll show you once this is moving. Anyway, so this was essentially the first optimized design I had. The idea is it can fit multiple people, not only because more than one person can fit in this composter here, but you could have at least 2 seats. The back seat's not really safe to sit in, but there's like 2 seats. And then there's a storage chest, which is useful for transporting things, and kind of a good idea with these not fully optimized flying machines where you can glitch through them, because then at least your items will be safe when you travel if you want to store them in there. And I could build different versions of this that have more chests for more space, but I haven't really built any variations of that yet. So this was one of the first optimized designs, and this I think was one of the first runs I had where I went up to 4100 blocks with this machine. And I didn't really change it for a long time, and even the most optimized version, which I run right now, is still not even that different. Essentially, I just used more composters. And I'm not sure if it really does anything, but it at least matches, and I think it would give you more layers, but either way, it works pretty much the exact same. Actually, maybe that's less optimized, because it's not a full layer. Either way, this and the cobblestone version seem to work pretty much exactly the same, and the version with no chest seems to work slightly better, but that might not actually be factually true. It's kind of hard to get exact statistics on PS4 because there's no like stat recording and you can't actually see any of the detailed information. You essentially only have a map to tell you your coordinates, and then you have to do real-life timing and then get averages and computing from there. Alright, so I guess let's fire this one up and kind of see how far we go. If we go more than 100 blocks or so, I'll stop it and we'll just... Oh. What just happened there? Maybe one on the bottom was missing. I don't really know what just happened there. Let's just test it again. And I think it should work. If I just place this here, it should trigger it. Yeah, okay. So I'll drop into it without flying. There we go. And I'll sit in it here. I kept trying to do differences of flights with crouching and not crouching. At one point I thought crouching was better, and then another time standing. I honestly don't think there's any difference. My only thought was with crouching you don't fall over any edge, so it might help with the border lines between blocks, but yeah, it doesn't really seem to necessarily be 100% effective that way. But as you can see, we've already traveled much further than that first design that I showed you that I got off of someone else's video. And we're just traveling right along here. So let's grab a map. Actually, let's grab a stack of maps. Throw that chest out. And you can see our speed there in the top corner, which is going on the X coordinate, so 582. And it runs essentially at exactly 2 blocks per second, which is very slow. But the exploration factor is pretty much unbeatable. You just need this base supplies, which I think the most expensive things would be maybe slime blocks. And the design only needs 4 of them. Like this one, I think I use 5, but it doesn't have to be that way at all, which I'll show you in another build here. And you can see we've just passed that other machine where we fell through multiple times on that one little short trip. And we've already gone this far without falling out once. Throw that map away, get a new one. And you can see we're just cruising along here. We've gone at least 200-300 blocks at least already. Now I think, oh, okay, so that's good that that just captured that. You can see I've just been glitched back to the middle box here. And so now that essentially I've found once it glitches you once, it starts to decline really quickly, where I'll probably glitch back to that one fast. But I'm also moving, which I think kind of changes the process. And keep in mind, I want this to be optimized so you can be AFK and not have to actively move yourself or reset anything. But I also want it to be usable so that you can move on it and not fall through if you do want to move. You know, do things like maybe access the chest, which actually doesn't work when you move. But, you know, you can actually jump up on this, and if you keep running with it, you can move with it. And you could build other versions where there's blocks behind that stop you from moving and things like that. So you could get up out of this and kind of walk around. But as you can see, even with not being fully AFK, you can ride this machine a decent distance without fully glitching through, whereas the other one, even when I was actively riding it, I couldn't help but fall through it. So to me, this has been one of my most optimized designs so far. One of the weird parts is just stopping it, which in the survival world might be weird because it could glitch and leave those blocks. I can just hit them away when I'm in this, but in the survival world it wouldn't work so easy. And you see it also glitched me back 1 block, so that's not the best either. And it seems to do that when you place blocks. See, So what that did was also another reason I like to have the chest there, because the chest counts as one block, which puts it one closer to the block limit. So as soon as you put that one there, it'll stop the whole machine, which makes this the easiest way to stop one of these. So even if the chest is a little glitchy, it's still, I like this design. Just to show you some glitchy things that were happening to me. If I take a chest, I was placing them back here because essentially you can make a whole other airship out of the back part of the engine. If I wanted to, I could just replicate this whole design right here essentially on the back and have it twice as big, move twice as many people, etc. Yeah, so maybe we'll build that design in a second here, or in a few minutes on stream. But just to show you glitchy things that were happening to me when I put a chest back here, not in front of a slime block. Boom. Might not, yeah, there we go. So it would do this, essentially. It duplicates chests. Although it kind of does this weird thing where this isn't actually a chest because I cannot look in it. So essentially it's just making an image of a chest, which to me is one of the weirdest things. I don't understand that. It's essentially duplicating just the image, but none of the information. I wonder if I go normal. Yeah, so if I go normal, I can't even stand on it. Which makes this extra weird. And you can see it just kind of duplicates them. I think it seems to be in a evenly spaced pattern. I don't know, this is one of the coolest anomalies I've made on Minecraft so far. It's just duplicating the image of a chest, but it's not a chest. I really don't know how that works. It's just doing the image, but none of the information. Let's go stop this. I wonder if I save the world and come back, if they'll still be there. Oh, those don't seem to be spaced the same. These ones do, and then it skips a long distance there. What? What does that mean? Oh no. My brain can't handle these things. I hate not having access to the detailed information of what's going on here. Why did it leave an uneven space between those? And then these don't even seem to be even. Okay, wait. Yeah, they do. Are they? Yeah, these ones seem to be even again. Alright. So let's stop this before I break the world. See, and then it does that sometimes also, where it doesn't even register. There we go. So essentially, so far with my designs, to implement them into my world, once these go, it's kind of best not to stop them, to prevent leaving floating blocks and things like that in your main survival world. So it's best to make a launch pad and then a receiving dock that stops it, and then just probably another one replicated to go back in the other direction if you want a two-way line. So like a train station for flying cars, but with two different bays for receiving and launching. Alright, as you can see, there's lots of different flying machines all built on this path here. Just kind of abandoned and broken and whatever. They actually do a cool thing where when you're one block below the push limit, they will just blaze right through leaves. Not wood, but leaves. And it will also get past wood sometimes because it'll like pull it with it on the slime, but it's best if there's no wood in the direct blocks around it. It's kind of cool to watch it tunnel right through the leaves because it doesn't do anything, it just goes right through it. And it actually destroys it, it doesn't just delete it. So that allows for sticks and other things to drop, which means you could potentially build something like this for farming sticks. Anyway, I'll leave that one, and I saw up here an abandoned one, which I was doing before, and this is essentially the most optimized version. So we'll go back up to the one that I said I like a lot, and it's most optimized. Here it is. It's 2 layers, and it's 2 wide. I like the 2 wide because it gives it more surface area, so for exploring, if you do stop it in midair, you can actually have some surface area to walk around on, and like it's kind of like a nice little floating dock in the sky. We'll delete that so it doesn't keep duplicating chests. And if you have like water in here, which would be one of the best things to house in that chest, then you could have an elevator at all times for exploration. And so all you'd really have to do, I don't know, you might want to do something like that, place some blocks up there. This is all you really have to do, you know, when you're exploring. So you get to this point, come right down to the bottom. Here we are, our ship's right up there. We can land, go explore around, get resources. And when we're done, just zoom right back up to the top. Pick up our water bucket, which I'm creative. You gotta have an empty bucket, so I'm just gonna place that there instead. And then, yeah, you're back up at your ship. No one can touch you. They can't get up to you. You can shoot down at them. You've got all your supplies up here. I don't know, it's kind of a nice little design, and if you really knew what you were doing, or not even knew what you were doing, but if you had the time and the supplies, you could essentially stop this and rebuild it in the sky pointing in another axis while still staying on it. You could essentially strip it down to one slime block and then just build the whole design from there again. Yeah, that would totally work. You'd have to be a good builder and careful, but it's definitely possible. So this is my favorite design. It's 2 wide and almost 3 high. This I'm honestly pretty sure does nothing, but I just liked it on there as an extra layer to maybe potentially protect you, and it is on a diagonal, and so the way it works is if you fall through, then hopefully you kind of glitch and fall through and it detects that one, so you don't actually glitch through, you just stay up there. And I don't know if it works or not, but this seems to be one of the best designs. Although, sometimes I don't know why, I've had test runs where I would fall out kind of quickly and repeatedly. But as you see, we've gone... Oh my god. We must have... Oh right, a lot of it was the chests, we weren't in it. But we've gone like 800 blocks or so. And we didn't fall out the whole time, except for when we flew out, so... yeah, it's a good design, and I guess I'll call this one the Mark 1. It has storage, you can have multiple passengers. It's pretty efficient, I like it. Now, move on to one of my other most optimized versions, would be this, which is kind of a long, not a long way from the original design that I got off YouTube, but it's kind of funny to think that someone could have spent time on making flying machines and not kind of come to this eventually. So if you strip this down, this is all you really need for the flying machine. 4 blocks and 2 sticky, or sorry, 4 sticky blocks and 1 sticky piston, 1 regular piston, and 2 observers. It's 8 blocks in total. It's really easy, really resource light. Now that's just the engine. You can see I've stacked it horizontal to make them more space efficient. For whatever reason, I guess naturally the person had the other way, which felt normal to me until I realized I don't know why I was doing it that way. They had essentially another sticky block there, and then theirs had things like that. So, you know, it was 3 more blocks of resources which you didn't have to use. And then essentially all I did was I built the cockpit onto the front of that, and I did it by just stacking my composters again. And I think I had it 4x4 because it'll push all this because it's so resource light that you can spend more on the cockpit. And I'm pretty sure this will work. Yeah, I think you could easily like put chests down here. Ugh, okay, I hate how this does this. Have to be crouching to put a composter. Oh, this is so frustrating. I think you could put these chests here and it'll probably work, so you could have lots of storage. I'm not sure what happens if you put 2 chests back to back. I feel like it's probably not good. Yeah, so this should work, and it seemed to, although it's more resource efficient, I'm not positive if it's actually more efficient at travel long distances and not glitching you out. So it still bounces you back and back, but I guess with this one, the efficiency is more that once you get to this one, you can't actually fall at the back, so I think realistically this could be the most efficient. Yeah, I think it could be. Because on the other design, if we just go right over here, see this bin is on the back part of the front part of the engine, so this line right here actually splits and creates a 1 block space every time this does a half rotation or whatever. So if you're glitched back into that bin and then back into this one, and then you glitch out of that bin, you just fall right out. And even if you had it like this, or say this, that could actually probably be the best resource wise. But I think with this it's still, I'm not sure, because you can still glitch through these blocks, but I'm not sure if I glitch backwards because this is a composter, so it deregisters for enough to put me through into the middle spot and I fall back. But I think it would do the same with this block, where if I glitch, it'll just put me into this block, which it doesn't keep me inside of it, so I would just fall at the back of the block. I think in long testing we would see that those 2 designs are probably pretty much exactly the same, but I could be wrong. But with this design, This has a sticky block behind it, which not only bounces you, so in a glitch situation, if you do go through, it has potential to bounce you forward in the glitch. But there's also another observer block right behind it, which gives another layer of protection. So I think technically this could be just the best design so far. Now, unfortunately, I don't really like this one as much because it just doesn't look that nice. I mean, the other one, it's not like that looks super nice or anything either. This one probably is arguably more sleek and like symmetrical and nice looking, especially if you maybe like, I don't know, take that shit out and put the other things back because we don't really need the chest. It's not dire for the machine to work. Yeah, I mean, this is the most sleek, but it also is only one wide, and that's kind of the only thing I don't like, because it doesn't allow for very much space to maneuver around on when you're up here. And it just has less of like an airship feel. It's kind of more like a one-passenger sky train kind of thing. You don't really have any room to move around. And so I kind of got to this design, and then once I got to this design, I then kind of went through the train of thought that I just explained, and I tried to make something even bigger. So I'm kind of in the process of trying to make something that's much wider, so it has multiple engines, essentially multiple engines stacked sideways, which would allow for, I'm not sure if with the way it works it allows for more pushing cargo, or if essentially me adding on the other engines is taking away from the build limit, but I'll do testing on that maybe in a little bit here. So this design, we'll just activate it to show you how it works. You just place that again and activate it, and boom, off we go. Let's like go up into the front cockpit here. So this one is also 4 bins, whereas the other design is only 3 because of the build limit containing more slime blocks on that one. Oh yeah, that's super weird. See how the chest is now facing that way and that one's still facing the other way, and these are just the images of it? Man, that's so weird. It's kind of why I've been launching all these in the same direction, just so as I continue to go I can kind of see the pathways of old airships and differences of flights and things like that. And also, I think I found that if you fly one of these into new unknown loaded territory, the chances of it lagging and glitching you through is much higher, I'm pretty sure. So flying it along the same pathway of chunks I've already loaded repeatedly is kind of good for optimization. And realistically, in our survival world on Khaan, all the pathways will be pathways that are majorly traveled over and over, or at least we'll make sure that they've been traveled multiple times, so that, see right there, that was actually me moving the joystick a little bit and somehow I glitched out of the bin. That didn't actually do it by itself. I was kind of moving the joystick at the time on like the move around one. Oh, see, it just did it again as I was walking around. So let's not do it. I'll just stay in place, maybe crouch. And we'll just let this go for a bit, see if we pass this island and a little bit up ahead of us. You can see we're at 1560, yeah, 1500 and almost 1600 blocks. Putting along here at 2 blocks a second. Oh, and so I didn't have my hand on the controller that whole time, and it just glitched me back into the second bin. So I found this is the main downfall of all of these machines so far, or maybe not this one, because this one might save me in the back bin. We'll see by just leaving it running here. But that's been the main downfall so far, because it doesn't it seems to come with just lag spikes or something like that. I'm not quite sure. And it's unpredictable, so it's not like the one block original design I got off YouTube that was very predictable, where you can just judge that pretty much within this distance you're always going to fall through the one block. On this one, or not on this design, but in the Mark 1 design with the chest, as I said, that one I'm pretty sure had up to a 4,000 block trip, and then another one that was like 2,000. And on those trips, essentially, I just left my character sitting in it and went AFK and came back to find my character like underwater in the middle of an ocean, or just sitting on a mountain or something like that, because he had been glitched out of the machine and just fell out of it. And at that point I would look at the coordinates and see how far I traveled before falling out. Ooh. So, you just witnessed essentially the main downfall of these machines. If you thought that the video lagged there, it was not the video, it was most definitely the game. So, that was probably one of the biggest lags I've seen. It glitched me fully like 4 blocks back. It like paused for 4 engine cycles. And then it put me essentially on top of the engine and slime block. Oh. And it just had another big lag spike. So, I think this could be... I'm really not sure how intensive it is to load these things up with extra blocks, if that actually makes it more more heavy load bearing on the system or what. I don't think it does. I mean, it might. Oh no, I see like a glitched chest. This design sucks to stop. So actually, a better design for this might be something like this. Oh wait, what if you go... See, this is how I spend hours on this. It's just something glitches out, and it seems like a successful ship, but then it glitches, and you're like, well, that's no good, because I need to be able to go much further than what I just traveled without falling to my death. So, I guess my concept behind this change is take away 2 blocks there to maybe reduce some lag. Put this pillar here so that if I do lag, it registers the top and doesn't push me back, because essentially this glitches out and pushes me out of it. So if that's there, it might, I don't know, might be some type of saving grace. And then the logic behind it being a fence post is I can then place a block behind it to activate that. So let's just ride in the dock car here and see what happens if we glitch out. Just gonna leave the controller untouched for a sec. So I've actually done a lot more runs than you see here. I just haven't saved the world every time I've been doing this. So on one of the runs I actually burnt this whole village here. I haven't seen any big lag spikes yet. Essentially, I think that's the only downfall of these designs. The thing where you fall back one bin through the bin wall, I'm not sure. I mean, I think it's all lag related, but it's definitely not in the same way as when you fall out of the whole thing, because I've noticed you can fall back through the bin on just a regular one tick cycle where it doesn't actually lag. And see right there. So my idea actually worked. This is my fail-safe post. Huh. Well, that's interesting. I like it when the plan works out. So, I think realistically these machines can, I won't say only, but with where I'm at right now, they have to be semi-AFK. You don't have to touch your controller, but you have to be at the screen for those times where you pop out. And potentially on a very large lag spike, that post won't even help me. But I'm almost at the world edge here, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Which I always thought was 2,500 blocks even from center, but I think it's like 2,556, which I never knew. Which would make the map 512 by 512. Sorry, 5,112 by 5,112. We'll hit the world edge here, why not? And this also does something interesting where you hit the world edge, where it pushes the front layer of your ship one block through the world border. And I'm not positive, but I think if you just kept building these, it might just keep pushing it through further, which maybe we'll actually, no, that doesn't make any sense. But as you can see, I can't do anything to this last one. Oh, maybe it's like halfway through it? Because I can definitely stand on it still, but I can't very far. Alright, so I think this could be one of the best designs so far. We easily just went, I don't know, we went a long distance there, maybe 1,000 blocks. And we were only semi-AFK. That was good. So this is the Mark II design, is what I'll call it. And I guess the post is probably kind of necessary, unless you're really not AFK and you want to risk being bumped out up onto that slime and stuff, which is a hassle to try and run back into the cockpit. Let's actually fly back to our spawn launch pad. and go off in another direction just for some scenery change instead of flying back on the same route. So, those have been my two most efficient airships so far, and they both revolve around composters, essentially. Thinking of like 4 different things here at once as I fly through. Thinking of all the different designs I've done that I haven't shown you. For example, some of my newer builds after the ones I just showed you, I've been trying to build with rails and minecarts on these so that you can actually sit in the minecart. So you're not standing in a block, you're actually sitting in something, which potentially there's less potential to glitch through. I think it could even be like 0 potential because you're sitting in a block that's an entity, and the block entities wouldn't ever glitch through each other how a player would. But I could be totally wrong about that. So some of those newer designs are kind of cool, messing with railroads and things like that. And where I'm at right now is essentially just trying to make them bigger or more, just different designs to see which is the most efficient. Because the Mark 1 and the Mark 2, they're efficient, but I wouldn't trust like a 2,500 block trip AFK, that's for sure. I definitely wouldn't trust that. I've had tests that go higher than that, but I've also had lots of tests that go below that. So, they're good, but they're not perfect. And essentially, we strive for perfection. No, I'm just kidding. But, kind of that is what I'm trying to do, especially for our survival world where falling out of one of those and dying would just... it would just be the worst, because we're all about making that world perfect and nice and fun and efficient. And actually, efficiency is not the name of that game at all. But neither are these things. If you wanted to be more efficient with speed, you could just build an ice highway or nether highway or ice highway in the nether. You know, there's much faster ways of getting around than these things because they only travel at 2 blocks per second. Yeah, so it's more about exploration and just having something cool on our world is what we're doing this for. Essentially, I think the way we'll work it is we'll kind of put them in a square sky railroad formation around the map, not on the full outside, but maybe in one regular map size from the outer edge or something like that. So you can travel far distances around the outer edge of the map, something like that. And so the goal is to get them efficient for long journeys of at least 1,000 blocks or more. And essentially to do that, you need to have kind of a perfect machine because, yeah, although I've gone 4,100 blocks, I really don't trust these machines to go that far, as I said. So moving on, we'll just do a little bit more in this part before we maybe break this into a second video, but I'll just show you a quick design or two of other versions that I've been working on. So let's take our Mark 1 engine that we designed, which is essentially just the original engine we got off YouTube, but just kind of streamlined to be only 1 block wide. What am I doing here? Okay, we'll just go boom, boom, boom. Okay, now as soon as I do this, it's going to activate it, I'm pretty sure. Or maybe I'll just do the first part. Yeah, okay. Boom, boom. So that's the Mark 1 engine. I won't activate it. But another design I was working on is essentially continuing this into a double wide engine configuration. Which I just realized I don't need those in between blocks at all. Boom. Okay, we'll take that out so when I activate this it doesn't grab the whole thing to start. So this will actually work, and I guess it's not really any surprise that it'll work because the block load's not that heavy. But it's interesting to me because you only need to activate one of these sides and then it'll pull this whole thing, which then activates both sides and whatever. So I've been trying to see, and I think this may be where redstone could come in, but I've been trying to see essentially how many wide of this engine I can make it. So we'll just try one more because I think that was the last one I was at and it wasn't working, so we'll see if we can make 3 work. Take that out so I don't activate it again. So essentially the back is connected, so when I activate it, it hopefully pulls the whole thing forward, and the front isn't because as soon as they're triggered, they'll all go at the same time anyway, which will leave more for block space. Entity placing afterwards. The downside of this is I really don't know how the heck I'm gonna stop it once I start it. And that's where redstone comes in because starting this is also a pain. I don't even think the don't think the 3 wide works, but we are about to test it right now by going boom, boom, and yeah, it doesn't pull it. Which sucks. So what if we decrease the box by 2, or by, yeah, 2. Wait, I guess you technically wouldn't even need these other front pieces if this works. Oh, and the Mark III engine. There we go, baby. Alright, so now the real question is, does this actually push more weight? It totally would, because it's 3 separate entities. Oh, I'm so smart. So brig-brained. Brig-brained. I'm brig-brained. Hello, I am brig-brained. Alright. So I just broke it somehow, but we're about to rebuild it. Take that out. Go boom. Only need one of those and don't need any of these. Oh my gosh, I'm having such a realization right now. I can just go boom, boom. Okay, this might not work because of the slime. Let's try it though. Oh, I was like, that doesn't make sense. The pull block, and then boom. What went wrong there? Oh, okay, yeah, exactly what I thought would. Okay, so you gotta get rid of these. That has to be slime. Which means that also has to be slime, right? Hey, maybe I can make that. I don't know, we'll test it. But the top one's the one moving, so that one needs to be gripping. I feel like this will just be the exact same problem, and people are probably cringing at me even trying this, but anyway. Let's try to add another little piece here, because this will attach since those are slime, and it'll just make our airship a little better. With that, yeah, okay, let's test this. Mark 3 engine test number 3. What just broke there? I don't know why that would stop it. Oh, the engine load. Okay. Okay, wait. I can make a version of this that's module. That just reverses this process and detaches every other one. And then this... Could this be infinite? Alright, we're getting on to something here, folks. I might need to start another episode for this because it's about to get a bit heady in terms of PlayStation 4 Minecraft, because I think if I make these into proper modules, spaced properly, I could just repeat this infinitely. I think. Alright? I don't want to get into it too much, but essentially you make one engine module on the back like this, and then you would make another one beside it, but you don't attach the one beside it. Instead you attach the front ones. Actually, I don't know. That might not work. We'll have to do some testing. But, Mark 3 test, here we go. Oh wait, we need to... You know what, this is probably best if we make it like this. Oh, I like this one already with how much space there is. Like if you're careful, you can jump between sides. And actually, if you were to stop it, you can just bridge the whole thing anyway. Oh, I like this. Alright, the Mark III test number 4. Let's sit in this cockpit and activate. Alright, so now the question is, how much weight can you put on the front of this thing? And we find that out by not breaking the frickin' thing. God dang it. Oh, did I just... Don't mind me. Oh, I just messed that all up. Okay, so each of those could push 8. Let's actually go back here and see how much a regular Mark 1 engine can push. Alright, so I won't do 9. But I'm pretty sure it does 8, right? So it does 8. So we go front here, stop it, put a 9th on. Pretty sure just putting stuff on the side really doesn't do anything. No, so it's only 8. But if you do this properly, you can also have a lot on the back as well. Like this one, stop it, and it'll just push it right along. But I guess our back engine module over there is already full. Okay, so let's stop that. Alright, so 8 each, which would be 24 in total, which on the Mark III, we're at 2. See, I really don't know how this works. If it gives it 3 times the power, I guess that's what we'll see here. So, let's build this up. Let's go... Boom, boom. Right, I don't need any of that. We're just going to use regular blocks because compost is organic. So, Alright, because it's pushing each module, that's gripping it. Sometimes I'm looking at these and I'm like, how is this even working? So I guess technically on this, it's actually pushing 12. So maybe 12 is the, so 32, sorry, 36 might be the limit, so we're at 6, and 1, 2, 3, 4, we're at 12. Let's go 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. So this could work. What messed up there? What? How's... Oh shit, I destroyed it. Okay, how the heck? Alright, anyway. I think maybe that's about it for right now for this episode. I kind of went on like 20 minutes longer than I should have. I was just trying to show the basic designs for the skyships I'm building. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this up, and I'll see you in the next video where I continue to perfect this Mark III engine. And that's about that. Thanks for watching. See you next time.